What's going on, Falcon fan? It's your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video. So today, guys, we're going to talk about the question of today is, can the Atlanta Falcons win without the running game? It seems like it's a point of interest because every time we hear the Atlanta Falcons head coach Raheem Morris he speaks, that's what they got to get going. It's all about the running game. If we get the running game going, and honestly, if you look at what's been happening in the wins and losses, it kind of speaks to that. But the problem is um, their inability to adjust. So we're going to talk about that today. Also, talk about the injury report going to this week's game against the New England Patriots, going up to Foxborough. And we'll also talk about the trade deadline, which is coming up here next week. Are the Atlanta Falcons going to be sellers or buyers? So we'll definitely look at that. A couple of rumors that's out there. What Atlanta Falcons can definitely be looking at to get into the trade market. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. Hold on just a minute. We'll get started. All right, I'm back. All right, so let's go over the injury report first. The first thing for today. So today, for the injury report, we know we had guys out, some key guys out last week for the Atlanta Falcons. So today, Storm Norton still in that 21-day window, coming back after our. This is his second week. He was a full participant in practice, so he's definitely in the mix. To compete for that right tackle spot. To replace Elijah Wilkinson if they feel like he's not living up to par. Um, I can't say he has not. I thought he played well in some games. I thought his worst games probably was the San Francisco 49ers game, but overall, looking at Elijah Wilkinson, I don't think he played bad. But Storm Norton coming back, as you guys know, he was our swing tackle last year. He actually started for Jake and Caleb last year in some stints. So, not started, but played for both of those guys because Jake gonna do what he do. That dude don't miss any games. But Storm Norton coming back, so he was a full participant once again this week. Our limited practice participant, which is it's kind of lengthy, guys. Darnell Mooney still working with a hamstring. Jesse Bates with a knee, which is interesting. Hopefully, see he'd be able to go, but he is limited, so he is practicing. Drake London, we found out about him late last on weekend that he was not going to be able to go with a hip. Kyle Pitts with an ankle. Of course, Michael Penix Jr. with a knee. Jalen Walker with a groin, and Billy Bowman Jr. is with a hamstring. So all those guys on limited practice. Now listen to the head coach Raheem Morris. He said all of those guys are trending in the right direction to potentially play this week. So, we'll this day is Wednesday. They kind of did a walkthrough today, a little bit more. They'll get into their practice tomorrow and Friday and stuff. So we'll get a little bit more, timeline on them. We heard from Michael Penix as well. He said he feels a whole lot better this week. So we'll see if he's continued to progress in the right direction. And if he does, he'll be a go. And we'll see how that goes. Of course, it'll be really, really good to get Billy Bowman and Jalen Walker back. We need both of those guys back on the field, which would be huge. If we do not, play with Jesse Bates, that's going to be a big hit for this team. They did, bring in Jordan Fuller, so he would probably fall into that spot, outside Xavier Watts. So we'll see if Jesse Bates is going to be able to go. So that's going to be big. All right, guys that did not practice today, Leonard Floyd with a hamstring. So we'll definitely be monitoring that. He played last week, but he got a hamstring this week. Casey Washington with a back. That's the new injury. So definitely he did not practice today. So we'll see Casey Washington's status is moving on through the week. And then Zach Harrison, he was out last week. He did not practice today, so he has a knee as well. So we'll check on those three, see if they status changes through the week from do not practice, did not practice to limited practice, the full practice. We'll see. But I think the big concern, that big list of limited practices, and see, this is the thing what I don't like about the early bye, right? When you get an early bye like the Atlanta Falcons got, um, you know, they had 13 straight games to play. All right. Now we got 10 games left. We got guys on limited. I mean, the list is like it's growing every week. But that's gonna be the nature of the beast. That's why you have to build a team with depth. All right. We witnessing that right now. Divine Diablo is out. We had to go with a special team player at linebacker, and it showed on the field. So that's where you start to have the woes and things like that. It's interesting. We still haven't heard enough from Troy Anderson. He was out last year, gas surgery, whatever, and he's been out the whole offseason. It still is out. So we don't know his status. We'll see if he's able to come back. We did hear from the coach, and he said, for the most part, he still ain't got any update on him. So he still is listed out for the time being. All right, so guys, let me know what you think about the injury report for the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, it's a long list, but it looks like a lot of these guys are trending to play. We definitely need our young quarterback back, because for me, it's more about experience. More than anything, he need to get the reps out there, and no other better opportunity to get a rep against a good team like the New England Patriots. So he definitely need to get those reps going up against one of the toughest defenses in the league. So that's really going to be good for Michael Penix if he's able to go. But getting Jalen Walker, Billy Bowman back, both of those guys, you like what they've been able to bring to the table, so far this season. So they would definitely help if those guys can come back into the fold. So just give me your thoughts on the injury report. I think it's going to be huge for this Atlanta Falcons team if they can get that back. Yes. Right. So there you have it, guys. Injury report for our Atlanta Falcons going into the New England Patriots week. Okay. Next topic is going to be the trade deadline. So as you guys all know, the trade deadline is coming up here November 4th for the NFL. And the question is, are the Atlanta Falcons going to be buyer or sellers, right? So you guys know my last two videos. I'm pretty much out on the Falcons making the playoffs this year. So in my opinion, they probably should be sellers, right, instead of buyers, right? And what I mean by that, they need to recruit some draft capital. You guys recall they lost the draft pick because of the whole Kirk Cousins thing, right? And then they gave up a draft pick in the first round because they came back into the round to get James Pierce Jr., which I love that. I love that they went to do that to get those two young guys, Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. So I'm not complaining about them coming, but the fact that they might have another high draft pick, you want to try to recruit some draft capital, because everybody knows you build your team throughout the draft, right? And I'm not just talking about the first round pick. I'm talking about that second through that fifth round pick. That's where your draft your roster is built, right? We just talked about all these injuries that we just went all these guys that's on limited practices today, right? You build your depth through the draft, right? You have to build your depth through the draft for many reasons. One reason, because if you do have the opportunity to draft well, you're not going to be able to pay all these guys. It's just not going to happen, right? If you have one of those most outstanding draft classes, like it's panning out to be for Terry Fontenot this year with the draft class that he had this year, right? Comes up in 4 or 5 years, you're gonna have issues trying to pay all those guys, and of course you still got to pay your quarterback. We have Bijan Robinson on the squad. We got Drake London. You got to determine where you're gonna keep Kyle Pitts. You got Jesse Bates coming up. So it's a lot of guys that you want to pay, but you have to build throughout the draft, right? That's how you create that consistency that I was talking about, on the earlier videos this week, trying to create that consistency and create that longevity for your team to be one of those perennial playoff teams every year. That's what you want. That's what you want to try to create. You're not going to win Super Bowl every year, but you want to be in the tournament every year to try to put yourself in position to win the Super Bowl. And that's what the Atlanta Falcons should be trying to create. They have the young nucleus to do it, but um, so with saying that, my this is my opinion, right? Because I'm saying my opinion. We talk about a trade deadline. I think they should be sellers, right? To try to recoup some draft picks. Now it was a rumor out there that the Minnesota Vikings actually did reach out to Atlanta Falcons for Kirk Cousins, right? You have to check your sources because I don't know if this source is credible or not, but it was out there that they did reach out to Kirk Cousins, see his availability, right? However, we know Kirk Cousins contract, the Atlanta Falcons owe him $27 million this year and $10 million next year, right? That's the guaranteed money he still has in his contract. And the Atlanta Falcons said they're not taking none of that. If you trade for him, you're taking that salary. So that's where the whole big issue with trying to trade Kirk Cousins, because Atlanta Falcons not willing to take some of that salary for themselves. They won't. If you trade for him, you're taking his salary as well. Now, the report was Kurt wasn't willing to renegotiate part of his contract, and that's why they decided to move in a different direction. Like I said, this is not 100% sure because I don't know the source, but it was out there. And you just have to go back and verify that and see if that's true. But if that's the case, um, definitely, I think that the Minnesota Vikings do need to look into it. We know what we saw what happened to Carson Wentz with his season-ending injury. JJ McCarthy, even though they did draft him in the top 10 last year, of course we know he did not play last year at all because of injury during training camp. However, how much do they believe in JJ McCarthy? That's the question, because if they still going out trying to look for a veteran backup quarterback, the question, how much do they believe in JJ McCarthy? So I think Kirk Cousins would be a good um, opportunity for them. He's familiar with that city. It was his home away from home for so many years. So I think his family wouldn't mind going back there as well. But you know, you got to have two to play, right? And maybe the Minnesota Vikings wants to learn the Falcons to take some of their salary. They said that's in January there when they were not doing that, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons Kirk Cousins still in this team, because Atlanta Falcons not budging on the idea of taking some of that salary um, for Kirk Cousins. So that's why I think we're in the predicament that we're in. But Kirk Cousins definitely would be um, a trade target for Atlanta Falcons being sellers. I also think Armor Ebiketie is should also be somebody that they should um, try to get some kind of draft capital of. We all know that Armor Ebiketie is in his fourth year. More than likely, he is not coming back to the Atlanta Falcons next year. Right? Of course, when the Atlanta Falcons draft two pass rushers in the first round, we know those guys are the future, the immediate future. So Armor Ebiketie is like, man, looking out. And then you look at a guy like Braylon Trice, who's going to be going into his third season next year. We haven't got a chance to see him on the field because of injuries, but that's three young guys that the Atlanta Falcons got in tow. So Armor Ebiketie definitely is the odd man out. So if I were Atlanta Falcons, I'd definitely take some flyers on Armor Ebiketie. He might go up to the top of the list because I know Kirk Cousins has a lot of money, tied into his contract. But Armor Ebiketie is a different story. He's still on his rookie contract, not that much money, and I think that Atlanta Falcons definitely should look and trying to get something for Armor Ebiketie, and that's the way I think they should do it. Um, those the only two guys, maybe Kyle Pitts, right? If the Atlanta Falcons decide that they're not going to keep Kyle Pitts, they already got that on the writing on the wall. I think Kyle Pitts has been playing extremely well this season. Um, and if they can try to bring him back in the fold, because I think him and Michael Penix do have a really good chemistry with each other. So if they want to try to bring and keep that young nucleus together with him, Bijan, Drake, and Mike, that would be good, right? But if they they going to be outbidded, in free agency and things like that. This is where the Atlanta Falcons can get some recoup some capital back for from Kyle Pitts as well. Now, this is because I know have 10 games left, and if you're looking at it like I'm looking, I think they're done, right? I think like I said, I think they're gonna lose the next two games, um, and then they'll probably end up 8-9 again. That's just the way I look at it. I think they're gonna end up 8-9 once again. But um, but if the Atlanta Falcons feel that they right in the mix of thing, they can get this thing fixed. If they feel like they can get this thing fixed, and I don't think they can, but if they feel like they can get this thing fixed, they could be buyers, right? And what I mean by that, they need another wide receiver, right? They got rid of Ray McLeod. Darnell Mooney has been in and out, right? He's limited this week as well. We hear the offense coordinator say today that he think he's going to take off. Hopefully he does, right? That'd be great. But if he doesn't, that's going to be a big deal. So um, we'll see about that. But they need a wide receiver. I don't know what wide receivers out there that they can actually go out and target. Um, they need a wide receiver that's going to be able to stretch the field more than anything, right? If you go back and look at some of the best traits that Michael Penix Jr. had, it's his deep ball. Doesn't seem like that this year because he's haven't thrown the ball deep enough. But to be honest with you, they don't have anybody that can do that except Darnell Mooney, who's, like I said, been in and out of um, you know, playing time all season long. So that's the big issue. So they definitely need to go look into maybe targeting a wide receiver. Also, due to the fact of Devon Diablo, Troy Anderson, both out, um, I definitely would look into going to get a linebacker. Right now, we know that Cincinnati Bengals linebacker is a guy that requested a trade. Right, um, they could look in that direction. Of course, if you want somebody to request a trade, more likely they're looking for a contract. So you will have to consider that if you're trading for him, that contract. I know the New York Jets have a young um, linebacker that they might be considered trading as well. So it's some guys that Atlanta Falcons definitely consider to put in that spot with that void of Devon Diablo. Right? I'm just saying it because JD Bertrand is not the answer, and I think we all seen that this weekend. He's a third string. He's a special teamer. That's what he does, and that's fine, right? Because a lot of people play a long time in NFL playing on special teams, but he's not a starting linebacker, and they just picked on him, and I really believe it affects the way that Jeff Albrecht calls the game because he's trying to hide this guy on the field, and it's hurting the way he want to call. He want to call that a tech style defense, be aggressive. When you got a guy like that looks lost, look like a deer with headlights, in his face. Man, we do not want that out there. So wide receiver, linebacker. And if they could go get a defensive tackle, that'd be great too, right? To be able to stop the run. So to me, on those are needs that Atlanta Falcons need to, if they believe that they have an opportunity to turn this thing around, that's what they need to do. They probably need to be buyers before the trade deadline, and that's where you put yourself on the right track. Be buyers, right? Um, you lose more draft capital, but if you believe you really can do something this year, you go by and you try to make fill some of the holes and the gaps that you have potentially that you think you're going to have with this team. So those are some of the things that I definitely think that the Atlanta Falcons need to do. So that's my thoughts on the trade deadline. Like I said, I feel like they should be sellers, right? And it's go looking for next year, right? But you believe that Atlanta Falcons going to turn around. I know everybody in that locker room does because I heard them talk today. They really believe that they're going to get you back, get things back on track, right? To me, it's just lip service now. I got to see it. I'm not listening to nothing they got to say anymore. I got to see it to believe it. But they believe that they can turn around. If that's the case, they're going to be buyers, right? They should be buyers. I'm not saying they're going to be. They should be buyers. All right, let's get into some of these comments. They said they're going to make a heavy run for the playoffs starting now. Okay, that's what they say. That's what they say. So, like I said, they got it. I mean, they came out. That's what Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris said. We're not talking about it. We're just going to let our action show on the field, right? So that's what we got to see. Trade all them jokers. Compensation for the team building is key now. Exactly. I think they should be sellers. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Um, Josh Downs and Jalen Hyatt, that can get them for nothing. Yeah, yes, I agree. Go grab both of them guys. If they grab both of them, that'd be great. They need some guys that are gonna take their top off, man. Michael Penix would thrive in that environment. Somebody, we've seen it. We've seen it already. We know he can do that. And then Eddie says, Bingo, yeah, Logan Wilson. That's it. Yeah, Logan Wilson contract for 3 more years. He just signed a healthy contract last season. However, his playing has been diminished. Oh, so he already got a contract. Oh, perfect, perfect. Logan Wilson, there you go. He already got his contract. Falcons just had to figure out how to tie that contract into their salary cap. But there you have it right there. I think Arm Ebiketie and JD Bertrand for Logan Wilson. There you go. You get another pass rusher and you get a linebacker to replace Logan Wilson. That's my trade offer. I still have to do the money, guys. The money had to work out for it for this team, but I'm just throwing out names right now, and I'll be happy that was the trade. So awesome, awesome. So guys, there you have. That's the trade deadline. That is the trade deadline for the Atlanta Falcons. I think they should be sellers, but if they feel like they can be buyers, if they feel like they can turn this thing around, and you know go on a run, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Now, trust me, guys. I want the Atlanta Falcons to turn this thing around. I want them so bad, man. I want to listen to those guys today. Raheem Morris, the Zach Robinson, the Jeff Albrecht. Listen to the players, man. I was like, I want to believe y'all, man, because they make it seem like it's so simple. The things that they're messing up on, they can fix it. They just got to get the right assignments done and identify the players that need to block and stuff like that. I mean, they sound good, man. They really sound good. I mean, Zach Robinson, if you listen to him talk, he's a really, really smart offensive play caller. He just don't have the experience, and it's showing big time. He's really sharp, man. He you can tell he knows his offense, but he's not experienced enough, and it's showing so bad. And that's the problem with Raheem. He got 2 first-time play callers, and that's what's hurting him, right? So, like, they sound like they know what they're talking about, and they sound like they can fix this thing, right? And the problem is, to their point, they have shown signs in 3 games this season. that's why it's so frustrating. They have shown sign in 3 games, so they are right. It's not like they've been playing bad all season. They have shown signs where they can really be dominant, on both sides of the ball, but it's just not being consistent enough. These last 2 weeks got me thinking. I don't know if they can fix it. It seems like they've been figured out, and it's no turning back from it. That's just the way I feel. All right, so let's get into the topic of the day, and winning without a running game. So we keep hearing the head coach, we keep hearing Zach Robinson, and we keep hearing the offensive lineman say, we got to be able to run the ball. It starts up front, yada yada, and all this stuff is true. I'm not dispelling none of this, because this is true, right? If you got a good running game, you control the clock. You dictate the game pretty much, right? Create time possession. You give your opponent less opposition to put points on the board. You get your defense um, less time on the field, right? This past game, the defense was on the field 38 minutes, right? So running the ball is key. It's without a doubt 100% key, right? And it's proven, right? Because we look at the three games Atlanta Falcons won, right? They ran for over 200 yards in the Vikings game, ran for over 200 yards, almost 200 yards in the Commanders game. They did run for over 200 yards in the Buffalo game. Those three games tells you when the running game is going, they look like a totally different team. That's it's the truth. So they are right. They are 100% right about that. Right. Go back to the losses though, and so it kind of tells the stats. The stats, they say stats are for losers, right? But when you're looking at the Tampa game where they couldn't get the running game going, um, the Carolina game is an outlier because I thought they run the ball well, but they got out of hand, so they kind of shy away from the running game in Carolina game because they were down so much. Um, but the last 2 weeks, the 49ers and the Dolphins definitely could not run the ball, right? And it kind of just done away with the identity of the Atlanta Falcons. The problem I have with this whole mindset, this thought process, is that that's what every team is going to try to do. Every team. Because they know if they can stop your run, they got an opportunity to beat you. So, knowing that going into your game day, they're going to try to stop us. Now, a lot of people say, okay, they know we're gonna do it, but they got to stop it. We got to execute. We got to do this. That's what the coach has been saying. The players been saying. But my point is, if their 100% goal is setting on beating you, running the ball, won't you try to pass the ball to open up the run? Right. That means they're dedicating more bodies to the line of scrimmage, which should be creating opportunities on the outside for you, your quarterback, your playmakers. It should be setting up more opportunities for your playmakers on the outside. So it's not that they're stopping the run game. It's like they're stopping your entire game because your inability to factor in that their number one goal is to stop Bijan and Tyler. They're trying to shut down what you do best. That's what every defense coach is going to do. It's not a secret. We just talked about it. The three games you dominated, your running game was outstanding. The 4 games you lost, you couldn't run the ball. So that's what every defense is going to do. Once you show them your weakness and you don't know how to counter to that, they're going to continue to do it. So the whole mindset is that if we can't run the ball, we pretty much dead in the water. That's the wrong mindset. The mindset is if you ain't gonna learn to run the ball, we're gonna beat your ass another way. And then you're gonna have to make a decision. We letting them off the hook because they stopping the run and then we're done. And that's not football. That's not complementary football. That's not having a balanced offense, especially when you got a bona fide number one receiver in Drake London. You got a Kyle Pitts that's really, really good. He's shown that this year. He's not really good. I'm take that back. He's decent, right? But he's doing a really great job. So you can create something out of the passing game. Now, I did say they needed a third guy. Hopefully Darnell comes back into fold, right? That would be great. But my point is that when you have this mindset is that we can't win if we can't run the ball. You going in your game like Tyler like one hand behind your back then. Because every defense is going to come in and try to stop the running game. And if they successful, you're basically saying we're done. And that's why I don't like that mindset. You're right. I get it. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to run the ball. But if you can't run the ball, you got to be able to pass it in, because they're whatever they're doing, they're putting more resources to stop the run, which means it's got to open up your other parts of your offense. And that's not what Atlanta Falcons are taking advantage of. Yes, you want to be able to run the ball, but trust me, if you can pass, you make the defense make a decision. They killing us in the passing game. We have to adjust. At this point, what's happening? The Atlanta Falcons is not forcing the defense to adjust to them. They can go into the game plan and stick with their game plan from tip from kick. Right? That's basically what happened from kick. Time the ball kicked off, they stick with their game plan because they shut down your run game. It's a wrap. You're pretty much dead in the water, and that's the mindset. It seems like the Atlanta Falcons are on. Yes, you want to be able to run the ball. You want to have a dominant running game. But if they're going to put more resources in the box to stop the run, they're going to sell out on the run. I mean, they doing run blitzes because they have no fear of you passing the ball, right? They shooting gaps. They're doing everything that they can to stop the run, and you have no counters for it. So the whole mindset that the Atlanta Falcons have put themselves in, and like I say, we hear it. I keep hearing it. I keep everybody saying we got to run the ball, run the ball. You are right, but football is a science, man. You guys know this is art. This is what coaches get paid a lot of money to do, right? To figure out how to win games. We saw Bill Belichick on a Monday Night Football game pass the ball twice the whole game. Guys, remember that against the Buffalo Bills? Passed the ball twice the whole game. Saw something on film, and they ran the ball, and Buffalo couldn't stop it. They just ran the ball the whole game, right? You have to be able to solve the issue. You have to be able to solve it. And right now, that's the Atlanta Falcons. You're coming in, it's like we can't get the running game going. We did no, okay. They stopped our running game, but we was able to light them up in the passing game because they put 8 in the box. Right now, if they stop your running game, they didn't even put 8 in the box. Now you can talk about execution, and we're not filling gaps and all these things because it's man on man, mano a mano, right? But if they dedicating more people in the box to stop your running game, and you can't take advantage of that, you're playing one hand behind your back, man. I'm just that's what's happening right now, right? Every team is going to come in and try to stop. Everybody knows how electric Bijan is. Everybody knows how electric this offense is when we're running the ball. Everybody knows that. The 3 games that we showed proved it. It 100% proved it that if you can't stop our running game, you ain't beating the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody knows that. But the point I'm making is that if they do stop it, if they shut it down, you got to be able to counter and win the game anyway. Because you do have a quarterback that can throw the ball. You do have the weapons outside. I say if you had no weapons outside, you couldn't throw the ball, and you the Baltimore Ravens back 2000 Baltimore Ravens, right? And their defense was so good, and you just don't want your quarterback to lose the game for you, right? Throw the ball like 16 times a game, right? If that's the case, okay. If you want to have that kind of team, that's the kind of team you want to have. But my point is, when you invested as much as the Atlanta Falcons invested in the pass catchers on this team, right? You got a number 4 overall pick, got a number 8 overall pick. You went and got Darnell Mooney in free agency, right? You got a Bijan Robinson catch out of the backfield. You have pass catchers that you can utilize in the passing game. So when they want to stop the running attack, you got to be able to counter that. You got to make them adjust, make them pick their poison. At this point, they don't have to worry about that because the Atlanta Falcons have limited themselves to be a one-trick pony. And if they can't run, it's a wrap. And that's basically what the head coach saying. Like, and that's why I don't like that mindset. You got to be able to win games. You can't run the ball. It can happen. It's possible. It's possible to win games without running the ball. Does running the ball helps? Yes. Like I said, it dictates the game. You want to be able to run the ball. If you pass them out of that run defense that they're in, then you can they have to pick their poison. Damn, we can't start the pass. We got to adjust. All right, now we're going to start running it. Like you gotta make them. They trying to make the Atlanta Falcons one dimensional, but Atlanta Falcons don't know how to adjust to it. That's winning football. That's winning football. If you want to be a team that's gonna go far, great teams gonna take away to what you do well. That's what they do. So the whole mindset, if we can't run the ball, we're dead in the water. I agree. You got to be able to adjust to it then. If you can't do that, then what are we doing? Because every team in the NFL, when they play Atlanta Falcons, is going to try to stop the running game. Either you say, we don't care, you're going to try to stop it, we're going to run it anyway. By all means, do that. But if you can't run the ball, what are you going to do to win the game? That's got to be your key. And that's all I'm saying. And I definitely want to hear from you guys. Let me know what y'all think about that mindset, because that's the issue, in my opinion, with this whole thing. Like, if we can't run the ball, we're dead. We're done, right? And it seems like that's the way these games been going. These losses that Atlanta Falcons have, the run game gets shut down. They seem like they out of sorts. They can't figure it out. Like, you gotta be able to adjust, man. Gotta be able to adjust. And going to my last point, the inability to adjust. That's the issue for the Atlanta Falcons. They do not have they don't have the ability right now, right? It really seems like, and I said this in the last video, that they have a solid game plan to start the season. Start the game. And they come out like game busters on defense and offense. We've seen it, right? We've seen it. Every time the Atlanta Falcons have a really good game plan and it goes the way they did it in practice, it seemed like it worked so well, right? They hit an all-cylinder run game. They getting after the quarterback. They really, really, fired up on defense. They're doing their thing on both sides of the ball, right? But when that does not happen, you have to adjust, right? You have to adjust, right? You get sudden changes sometimes, right? You come out and the offense rolling down the field, they get a fumble, sudden change. Defense come out, they got to be able to get a 3 and out, right? That's how you got to do. You have to adjust on the fly. That's where it builds great teams. That's what I'm talking about. So the inability for this team to do this, like, I go back to the 49ers game, and I don't care what nobody says. Your number one job in that game on defense was to stop Christian McCaffrey. But it definitely don't seem like that's what their number one job was. It don't seem like they had the ability to adjust to what the Kyle Shanahan was doing to get Christian McCaffrey the ball. I know Divine Diablo went out there, put J.D. Bertrand in there, and that definitely could have been the cause. But the point I'm making is, like, I don't care. I don't know what game plan they had going in that game. If Christian McCaffrey wasn't number one on your scouting report, that we're not going to let Christian McCaffrey go off on us, if that's not number one, I don't know what your game plan is then. I don't understand. Because if that was your game plan, you need to just scrap that whole game plan, because it didn't work. Christian McCaffrey dominated the Atlanta Falcons in that game. And you would think that the number one goal was, we're not going to let him beat us. You're not going to let him beat us. And that's what happened. Go back to what I just said. That's what everybody's saying about the Falcons. We're not letting the Atlanta Falcons run game beat us. That's what they're saying. And lately, it's been working because guess what? We don't have the ability to adjust. And it's on offense and defense. It's not just the defensive side. It's not just it's both sides. They do not have the ability to adjust, man. Everybody knows, and this football 101. When you come into a game, the offense have what 15 scripted plays to run, right? That's pretty much how it goes. 15 scripted plays, and it varies because of down and distance and stuff like that. First down, where you're at, situation of football, all that varies. But each team comes in with 15 scripted plays. That's what they do. We're gonna script these plays. Those plays, everybody knows them because they ran them through the week. So those scripted plays, everybody knows what the play is gonna be. And if everything worked like it's supposed, you're just gonna march down the field, touchdown, right? If that does not work for the Atlanta Falcons, they don't know what to do after that. That seemed like exactly what happens. Seemed like exactly what happens. Like they don't know what to do with that, right? And it's in like to think about football, which why I love it so much, because it's so much detail in it. Where and it's a chess match between play callers, and it's so much into it, right? Think about it. Think about it. On the 3rd and 8, right? That's obviously a passing down, right? That's obviously a passing down. Well, Miami a couple of times on 3rd and long, they ran the ball. They ran the ball, right? So they go away from tendencies, right? That, that's that's what you call coaching, where you're going away from tendencies and trying to think outside of what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks on 3rd and 8, it's a passing down. Miami ran the ball a couple of times on 3rd and long in the game. And guess what? It caught Jeff Albrecht off. He messed up because he was in a zone defense and lanes was wide open. Running back get down. Maybe just say they don't pick up 6 yards, but now you put the opposing offense on 4th and 2. Now they go to analytics, and analytics most of the time say go for it on 4th and 2. So they're playing, they're playing the odds and thinking that they think we're going to pass it here, so we're going to run it, right? They're playing those tendencies and stuff like that because that's what they think you're going to do. All right, when we get in the 3rd and long, they always going to go into this particular defense formation. So they're betting on you looking at film, going off your tendencies is a chess match. It's always the way it is. And what we're seeing right now, in our offense and our defensive side is they're killing us, man. That they're killing us. We playing checkers. The whole saying, we're playing checkers, they're playing chess. That's basically what it looks like what's going on because they're putting us. I mean, you go back to that 49ers game, and it was 3rd and 13, right? Or obviously we had 10 players on the field, so that's the first mistake. But it's no way you give up a 3rd and 13 on in the red zone right there. We stop them right there. They kick a field goal. It's 16-10. Atlanta Falcons have opportunity to go down, take the lead back if we hold them to 16-10. But we give up that because third and 13, Jeff Albrecht decided to play coverage instead of pressure. Right? It's a chess match. You have to be able to adjust, and your tendencies kill you. That's what happens every time. Your tendencies, you got to go against. You have to catch yourself not doing the same thing over and over again. People keep saying the offense is predictable, and they kind of figure out what we're doing because you get into a routine that we always do this. We always do this on this down and distance. We always run this play in key moments and all this stuff, right? That's how you get caught up, and that's how you don't be consistent because they get paid on the other side too. And that's what's happening to this Atlanta Falcons team is that they just don't adjust well. They don't, man. On both sides of the ball. They don't adjust well on both sides of the ball until the Atlanta Falcons is able to figure that out and be able to start playing the chess, moving the chess pieces right, on the game day. And that's what they got to do. You have a game plan. Every team comes out with a game plan through the week. That's what we scripted. That's what we game plan. But you installed your whole playbook through the off season. You installed the whole playbook. So yes, you have a game plan. But if it's not working, go back to some plays that you installed throughout the week. And I get it. So many plays, you're only probably going to script so many plays through the week. I'm tracking. But man, you don't have so many reps. We know this for a fact because Raheem Morris said it. Instead of doing all that 7-on-7, he did a lot of team. So they got a lot of reps banked. A lot of reps banked of that playbook through the training camp. So these guys should know this playbook. And if you have to adjust, that's what they need to do. But it doesn't seem like they adjust well, man. Doesn't seem like they adjust well. I mean, it's I get it. You're going with the odds, right? Like the whole thing. You kick the ball off. You up. Just say you're up 10, right? It's 3 minutes left on the clock. You kick the ball to the offense. What do all defenses do? They go into prevent defense, right? It's like it's so cliche. Like we're going to prevent defense. So what happens? The offense march the ball right down the field. They take everything you're giving them. They march the ball down the field. They kick the field goal, or they score a touchdown. They're either down 3 or they're down 7, right? Then they do an onside kick. They're dictating the game because you decide to go into prevent. So you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Like I said, this is the old way they always play football. I get it. And it's a safe way to do it, right? Because you don't want to get beat over top and all. I get it. I'm tracking. But if you was aggressive to start the game, you need to stay aggressive. Because that's what got you the lead. When you stop playing your game, that's when you let them back in. That's why I don't understand it. And they got some coaches that's risking a biscuit, right? What's his name? Old Tampa Bay head coach, right? You got go Sean Payton. Sean Payton is a gambler, man. He does stuff unorthodox, right? Go back to the Super Bowl against the Colts when he came out and kicked the onside kick. Nobody expected that, right? You have to be aggressive. You got to go for it, right? And my point is, if you're aggressive the whole game, why would you go into prevent at the end? I'm just gonna play my whole game. You wasn't successful before. Why would I think you're gonna be successful now when you weren't successful before? And now I'm gonna give it to you. It's like I don't understand it, man. Don't understand the mindset of these guys because they always play not to lose. Okay, we can't lose this game, so we're gonna go into prevent defense. Man, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I go back to the 28-3 game. Dan Quinn saying the same defense the whole game. And Tom Brady figured it out and marched down the field just like that. Kept going to the running back, right? 13 catches. So, I mean, for James White. That's where when you don't adjust, right? And there's some coaches out there, man. I'll sit there and watch football this weekend. Some other games, right? I watched the Kansas City Chiefs game, and I watched Andy Reid's play calling. Man, it's next level. I watched Sean McVay play calling. It's next level. I watched Matt LaFleur play calling. It's next level. Man, they always it makes it. I watched the Dallas Cowboys offense play, not this weekend, but in previous weeks, and they make the game look so easy on offense. Everything the Atlanta Falcons do make it look hard unless their running game is hitting on all cylinders. And it shouldn't be that way because you have the talent for your team. Not, I would see if you didn't have the talent, man. I could understand wholeheartedly, but you have the talent on this team to to do some of these things these other teams are doing, and I just just chalk it out to coaching, man. Now you listen to all the players, you're gonna listen to them say, "There's nothing wrong with the play calling. We got execute, and that's fine." I'm glad the players are putting it on their shoulders to say this, but man, I'm trying to tell you, it's been some coaches in this league been doing it for a long time, and their job is to beat the opposing coach at his own game. And so far, in 4 games, our coordinators have failed to adjust and don't have the ability to adjust. And that's what the deal is. So when you ask me, do I believe the Atlanta Falcons can turn around through 7 weeks? No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I see when it's going well, it's going well. When it ain't going well, they have no clue. That's what I see. And going up against Josh McDaniel, who's been coaching offense for many years against Jeff Wilbur, we're gonna see how that happens. Mike Vrabel going up against second-year offensive coordinator, um, Zach Robinson. Man, I don't like the odds. I'm just being honest with you. Don't being honest with you. That's just the way I see it. So, and then the next week after that, we'll get into this. We got the Colts, where their owner is listening to headsets, listening to plays, and trying to get understanding. And she's trying to, if the play caller messed up, if the player messed up. I mean, she really dived in into, that organization as an owner. And you gotta love it, right? Um, it's awesome. I love it. Because she's really taking interest, and look what it happened, what it transpired. They're 7-1. You have to love that about what the Colts are doing and their owner. Some people say it could be definitely they don't like it. She too intrusive. She all in their business. Man, she's saying I'm paying these people millions of dollars. I want to know what they're doing and if they're doing it the right way. All right, that's what it is. So maybe you need more owners like that to get in the weeds. Not Jesse Jones, not Jerry Jones type, right? Because he definitely be too much in the way. But obviously she letting them coach, but she just listening in and seeing if they doing the right thing. So I love it, man. I love it. That's her team. She can do what she want to do. All right, let's get into these comments. If I get up out of here. Daniel said, "What up, everybody?" Plus the gangster Parim. Yeah, man. Yep. Yeah, I had to rock it out today. Just like Arthur Smith. Yep. Arthur Smith was the same. Great point. Arthur Smith, he probably the most stubborn offensive coordinator I've ever seen, man. He gonna do it his way. Now, one thing about Arthur Smith, I can tell you this: we were gonna run the ball. He didn't care. I don't know if they could start running with Arthur Smith here. Arthur Smith ran. I go back to that Browns game a couple years ago. Arthur Smith ran the ball like 14 straight times. They know he was running it. 14 straight times, man. It was amazing. You guys remember that game? 14 straight times. It was something to watch. So Arthur Smith, he's sticking to the run game. He don't care about the passing game, but and plus who he had a quarterback. So that's the big point. Um, we're losing the match. Yeah, we kill it. We getting towed out of the chest, man. And he says our coaching sucks. Hey, to me, they don't got that coach in 4 straight games. I mean, in 4 games this year. That's just the bottom line. They got that coached. So hopefully they can turn it around. The players can say all they want, say execution, execution, execution. Well, y'all need to execute then. Shit. If that's what it is, execute the plays that's called. If you think it's supposed to work, we just ain't doing it right. Well, do your damn job, right? That's what needs to happen. So, guys, let me know what you think about what I talked about tonight. Let me know what you think about the injury report. We got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 guys on limited practice today. Darnell Mooney, Jesse Bates, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Michael Penix, Jalen Walker, Billy Bowman. We got 2 guys that's 3 guys that's on did not practice today. Leonard Floyd, Casey Washington, Zach Harrison. So we'll definitely be looking out for the injury report, see who can get some of those guys back into the game this week. The trade deadline, I think the Atlanta Falcons should be sellers because I think this ship has sailed this season. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I hope I could be putting a lot of cake on my face. Like, man, they turned it around. I can't believe it. Everything I said about them, I was wrong. I don't believe that's gonna happen, but I would love to be wrong, man. I really do. I would love to be wrong. So, but I think they should be sellers in the trade deadline, guys. I think they should be looking at Kirk Cousins, of course, Armor Ebiketie, and maybe even Kyle Pitts if they decide they're not going to keep him. Try to get some recruits and draft capital for the future. If they feel like they should be buyers, I think they should go out and look for a linebacker, receiver, even a defensive tackle. So that's the way I look at it. And then the last thing is get out the mindset of if we ain't running the ball, we can't win, right? We're going to win this game no matter how we got to win it. If we got to win it through the air, we're going to win it through the air. We're going to run the ball. We're going to win it running the ball. We're going to win it on special teams. We're going to win. You got to say we win this game in all 3 phases, some way, somehow. That's the way you got to look at it, and not come into the game saying if we can't run it, we're not going to win it. Lose that mindset. I think that's a loser mindset. Yes, you want to be able to run the ball, but if you can't run it, figure out a way to win it regardless, right? If they take away the run, that means they're giving you something else. Just that simple. And then last thing but not least, stop playing checkers, start playing chess with these coaches. They're out coaching you and you're within the game, right? You have a great game plan. You have to switch up your game plan and do better. That's what I'm saying. So definitely, guys, want to hear from you guys on all those things. Please like, share. Let's see, can Atlanta Falcons get a win this weekend in New England, and we could have a victory Monday, which we ain't had in the last 3 weeks. So there you have it. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.